Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Glassman's world. So, it looks like this is getting some crazy stuff going on over here. This is getting some crazy stuff going on. That's exactly what I just said. Yep. But check it out, man. There are a lot of people on YouTube, on Twitter, on just online, and different places, different platforms, and they are talking about how they are not happy with what's going on with this whole EBT, the EBT not getting rolled out, or people not gonna get their benefits coming up here on the 1st or whenever, November 1st. I guess November 1st is when things start happening, and it's pretty wild to hear what people are talking about and what they're doing, and already what people are doing. It's pretty wild, guys. So let's kick back, let's blow some glass, let's make some stuff, and let's talk about it. All right. So from what I've been learning, this whole government shutdown has made quite a big mess for people, and everyone's blaming Trump. I have no idea whose fault it is that the government has shut down for so much. I don't know if it's just Congress that needs to come back in, or what. I really don't know. I'm not sure what needs to happen, but it looks like there's a lot of people who are really upset right now about what's going on with they're hearing that there's not going to be any EBT, there's no food stamps, people are going to be hurting, people are really going to be having a hard time feeding themselves. Everyone's already living paycheck to paycheck, and when you don't have what you're normally accustomed to and used to, it really creates a lot of stress for people. When you're used to having certain things at certain times, and you have like a certain routine or whatever it is, you got food stamps coming in on the 1st, maybe you got food stamps coming in on the 15th, sometime, right? And if you don't have that coming in, it really puts a damper on things. It really does make a huge difference for people who are really dependent on this. They really rely on this to happen every month for them. And there are a lot of people who are taking advantage of the system and the situation. There are a lot of individuals who have been brought into the country through the Biden administration, which then they started getting a whole bunch of benefits, and a lot more financial assistance than anyone I've ever heard of. I heard people were getting like upwards of like $10,000. They were able to get homes and take care of their families and everything. And then the regular, like Joe Schmo, the regular United States citizen, is stuck just, slaving away, working the American dream on basically working a 9-to-5 job, maybe even more, maybe working 2 9-to-5 jobs in order to make ends meet. And some people, they work in jobs and they still not making enough money that they still need to get benefits. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true. I don't know. It's been years since I personally have held down a job that another individual is paying me in order to work for them. Besides, like I do these side jobs where it's, just cash under the table. or sometimes people pay me through credit card, online payments, things like that. But I haven't had a job where someone's paid me with a W-2 and and actually had a job to where I've like had to be there 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. If you miss a couple days, then basically you risk losing your job, right? You risk losing your livelihood. And yeah, so there's a lot of people who live in this way where they are dependent on someone else to cut them a paycheck. And sometimes that paycheck isn't big enough to where they still have to get benefits, you know? And with the cost of living these days, they say that affordable housing is up to, I guess affordable housing is supposed to be 1/3 of your income, but it's backwards, right? Whatever rent is, so the average mean of rent, whatever that is, you've got to basically fork that out. And in order to come up with being able to sign a lease, you need to prove that you're making 3 times what the rent is, because affordable housing means that only 1/3 of your rent should come from your income. 1/3 of your income. So there's a lot of people who are living, paycheck to paycheck. Some people don't get paychecks. I don't get paychecks. Do you get paychecks? Because I don't get paychecks. I don't have a boss. If I make money, it's got to be on my own terms and my own ways. If I make a deal with someone and I say, hey, I'm going to offer you my time, my service, my goods, my services in exchange for something that you have. A lot of times, most people, what they have for me is Federal Reserve notes, so they can exchange that. But, not too many people are able to live in this paradigm. And so they have to live with a 9 to 5 job and trying to figure out how to come up with food and things like that. And some people need that assistance every month. And it's hard, There's people who are on disability. There's people who were on disability. That's one thing. My wife, she was on disability for 20 years, and recently with all of these audits and all this stuff that's going on, before the government shut down, they shut down her Social Security. It's not her disability. It's not like she's able to work now, like somehow just magically in the course of like over time or whatever. Like, I don't know. Just because we are where we are with the world and the government and people in power and whoever's making things happen, they decided to remove her from being disabled. And they want to deem her as being able to work. Now, I don't know if that means that, like, okay, anyone can get a job, right? Like if you're I forget the guy, Anthony, what's his name? Stephen Hawking, right? If you're in a wheelchair and you can't even speak, you can't even move or whatever, but he is still somehow able to acquire billions of dollars, right? He is still basically, like, technically employable. He's working. He's able to earn a living, right? So maybe this whole new way of thinking, this new world order, this new world and new orders that we're following, the new world order that we're living in these days, maybe what it's doing is it's trying to shift people into a way of thinking outside the box and being able to get people to start creating online jobs where you're not physically working, but yet you figured out some way of having something work for you in order to create income to inevitably pay taxes on that income. And that's why they want to make sure that everyone is being able to bring something to the table so they can get their cut from everyone, right? And they want to make sure that same-sex marriages are legal, so then that way they can get taxes from that paradigm. And everyone, like, like, let's make sure that there's always a way that they can tax and make money off of things. But things have been taxed and things have been funded, and now they've cut off the funding. So now people who get SNAP, people who get EBT, food stamps, financial assistance, those who get the TANF benefits, those who get the WIC, there's a lot of mothers, expectant mothers, who they need that extra food, and it's a weird thing. Like when you get WIC, I've had children, I've been with women who have had WIC and stuff, and so the way that it works is they like tell you, okay, well, you can get like this juice, like Welch's grape juice and Welch's orange juice, but you can't get this one and you can't get that one, or maybe it's you can only get Kroger's brand, or you can only get like the generic brand, but you can't get the good brand, or like, I don't know. And it's got to be in this specific ounce. You can't get the 12 ounce, you got to get the 16.9 ounce. And like it's so like complex, and sometimes the stores will have it labeled on the shelf so that makes it easier, like, oh, this food is a WIC stable food. And then you get up to the machine, and then it doesn't like allow it to go through as WIC, and there's a lot of complications and things that happen like that, and so it's not always so simple. But then sometimes it's extremely simple, where they load up a card, you get an EBT card. I know back in the day, like when my mom was getting food stamps, they were actually like paper stamps, like came in a booklet, and you would pull them out, like this coupon was worth $1, this coupon's worth $5, this coupon's worth $10, this coupon's worth $20, and you would spend it like dollars, and maybe you'd get change back. I don't know if you got change back or if you had to give them like as close to exact change as possible, so then you didn't lose out on your paper food stamps back in the day. But then they went into the digital realm and the electronic, I don't know what EBT even stands for. Electronic basic. I don't know what it means. Everybody's EBT. I don't know what it means. Electronic benefits card. That would be EBC. So, they have announced that coming up in November, that a lot of states are not going to be dispensing EBT. But what we've been hearing is that it's not just that. People are saying, oh, I better get my EBT, or I'm going to go and take this and take that, and I'm going to fill up a cart full of food, and I'm just going to walk out, and if you come in after me, well, you better not. Like, there's all these threats and all this stuff happening. I've heard that Walmart is basically going to shut down and not even like deal with this at all. I don't know if that's true or not. A lot of people, I've tried to boycott Walmart ever since 2012. But a lot of people, a lot of you shop at Walmart. A lot of you love that Great Value brand, even though it's like really bad and it's got like a bunch of bioengineered stuff and all this crap. And they're finding all this stuff is like not good for you, and it's like not even real food, and I don't know, all kinds of stuff with that Great Values brand. It's not so great, but it's got a good value, I guess. It should be good values. So they're saying that people aren't going to get their EBT, but it's not just that they're not going to get their EBT. We've got our governor here in New Mexico where people said, oh, well, she set aside all this money for just in case this scenario occurs, right? People have said our governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, has set aside billions of dollars for just in case this scenario exactly occurs, and that she would be able to make sure that people are fed, right? Well, people are like, okay, well, cool. That means we're going to get our EBT, we're going to get our benefits and this and that, right? But no. When the government is shut down, that means there is no federal spending and no federal funding. That means that EBT is not getting that funding. The stores are not going to be able to accept the EBT payments, because then they won't be able to get paid by the federal government. They won't get paid back, and then they'll lose out, or they'll have to wait till whenever like the government opens up again. So then they lose out on their purchasing powers. So they won't be able to purchase the foods that they just sold to everyone who had EBT, and now they can't get their money from the government because it's shut down. So then they're like, well, the only spending power that we got now is from the cash that we collected. So what they're doing, I believe, is they're getting ready to not accept EBT in stores all across the nation. And that whether you got it or not, even if you're like trying to save some from last month, you're not going to be able to spend it because the stores aren't going to be able to redeem it. They're not going to be able to get their payment. So the only thing that they're going to be able to accept payments on and be able to keep legit transactions for themselves to make sure that they're keeping the profits going and the profit margin going for their shareholders, the stockholders, they need to make sure that they're accepting cash, that they're accepting debit and credit cards, and you got to have funds in your bank. And I don't know if you guys remember, like back in when everything was shut down and Walmarts were talking about how you're not going to be allowed to go in there unless you have a certain amount of money like on you, like electronically. They're going to be able to scan your credit cards as you walk in to know whether or not you have at least like $40 on you. I think you need like a $40 minimum in order to step inside and go get yourself something. They were talking about it. I don't know if they ever implemented it, but what I see happening now is that places are either going to shut down like Walmart, or places are going to not allow EBT transactions and only cash and only credit card and things like that. And if they know that there's going to be a lot of theft, a lot of people coming in and trying to loot and just basically fill up carts and then run out with them, they may do this thing where they're going to start asking you to download their app, to subscribe and join their app, and give them your credit card, your bank information, so they know that you are a legit shopper, and There might even be where that, like, there's some stores already where you walk in and it's like cashless, touchless, cardless. You walk in, they've already scanned your card. You grab your items, you walk out, it scans the items you got, and it takes it off your credit card as you walk out the door. And you don't have to even go to a register. You don't have to talk to a cashier. You don't do any sort of transactions. You just go grab your food, you walk in, and you walk out. There are places that they're implementing these new smart grid city technologies, 15-minute city technologies, and Albuquerque is definitely the Q city. We're on the Q for this green city, smart grid city technology. We are the first city in the United States that has free transit, citywide transit. I believe we are the first ones. There's other places where you got to pay like $3 per day or whatever, and you get free rides all around. But we are the first free public transit. We're in the queue for it, and the color is green for the queue, which means go. Green is go. And so, yeah, they're going to start implementing these things, guys. They're going to make sure that we move into the smart grid city. And so these situations is just going to make it more ideal and more simple, more logical for them to make this happen. We had zero warning. I sent the snap ending in Arkansas and figured that was just BFE. You sent the snap ending in Arkansas. I don't even know what you mean. You talking about the snap benefits with the food and no one's had any warning? It's pretty crazy that they're just like cutting people off right now. And this is the Hunger Games. One thing that my wife was bringing up the other day was how, like, you know, if you go into Walmart and places that, you know, we got AI surveillance. Albuquerque has been, like, the APD, Albuquerque Police Department, has been talking about how we got these citywide cameras that are all linked up. Even the ring cams are linked up to APD. It's part of the cybernet. I don't know if you guys know that cybernet went live, I don't know, like a year, 2 years ago? Something like that. Cybernet's real. The whole Terminator stuff. Except it's all about like AI technology and things. I don't know. I mean, we do got robots coming in. We got those dogs, patrol dogs and things coming in. But right now, there's no like crazy Terminators, no T4s or nothing like that. Or whatever they are. We got no Arnolds. I'll be back. But we got Cybernet, and we got this AI tracking us, surveillance cameras. And so if you go in and you steal something, you know, if you ain't got your face covered, your eyes covered, all that, they're gonna just track you. I was about to watch a video right now where it's like the lady thought she got away, and then they found her at her front porch. You know, like they just track you. They know exactly where you are by facial recognition, and then it's connected to your license and your address and your phone number and everything, you know. Like unless you figured out how to actually like go dark and become shadow, like good luck with that, you know. So one thing that we were talking about though is that, yeah, you'll get busted. You know, they'll just come find you. You know, they've been letting people just like go through and shop and steal for how long right now, you know, with all of their self checkouts and stuff. And all these people think they're getting away with it, right? But really, they've just been getting surveilled. And this is going on some sort of a record. You know, it's going to go into our social credit system, our social credit score, and all that they're implementing for the new 15-minute cities and what the World Economic Forum has been pushing us into, and what we're going to go into with this whole new world, the new world and the orders, the new orders, the new world and the new orders, the new world orders that we're all following and falling into. But not only will you get busted if you're stealing, right? I've been caught stealing once when I was 5. Man, imagine if you got caught stealing when you were 5. Some Jane's Addiction right there. So, seriously though, the other thing that we were talking about, which is real serious, is, okay, if the state has been tracking you because you have an account with them, you have a membership with them, right? You've basically signed up with the state to become a dependent on the state, right? And you have certain rules, certain guidelines to follow, you know, like if you're getting benefits, you got to do this, you got to do that, there's certain rules and regulations and restrictions and things you must adhere by. And if you don't, you know, you can get your benefits sanctioned, where they'll take a portion of it. You know, if you don't do something right, you don't report something, you're making more money and they find out about it, you're making less money, they find, like, there's all kinds of ways, right? They find out and then they cut you and like dock you like a third. So you have like $300 coming in, they dock you 30, you go from 300 to 200. That's a huge loss right there, right? And if you do it again and you can't like bring it back up to your original way, then you get dinged again, and then you only get 100 out of the 300, right? And some people are already working on this kind of a situation, right? But the thing is, they're keeping track of all this. They know how much you've getting in. They know what you've been reporting for your income. They know how much your housing costs, how much your bills are. They know how much you spend on gas, how much you spend on your phone. They know how much you do anything and everything. They're keeping tabs on all of it. They know where you shop because they're using your little Fresh Values card or whatever kind of card, your membership shopper's card, right? So they know what you're getting. They know how much money you're putting into what every month, where is it going, right? They're keeping tabs on it all. They're keeping tabs on if you got enough money for your children or not. So when they cut you off and you don't have enough money for your children, then what happens, guys? Then the state can find you unfit as a parent. And what happens when the state finds you unfit as a parent and you can't provide meals for your children, or you're not able to take care of rent because you're spending it on your food, then the state can come in and do what they do, which is legal kidnapping, is what I call it. And they come and they steal your children away from you. So right now they're about to make 1 million or more, 2 million, 3 million, billion. I don't even know how many recipients of EBT there are in the United States. But if these individuals can't figure out how to make ends meet and make sure that they can provide meals, and because some of these individuals are being watched, they're, you know, they got cases opened up against them, right? And so they have the children, youth, and families, individuals coming in, checking every little thing, making sure that everything's good. They got food in the fridge, food in the counters, that their sinks are clean, that they don't got dishes piled up, that things are taken care of, and that they have a home that's fit for living. The bills are paid, the rent's paid. If you don't pay your bills, you don't got gas, you don't got water, you don't got electricity, they can come in and find you an unfit parent as well. So right now, everyone's talking about the food crisis, right? And what's going on? I see you're here, Austin. How you doing, brother? But everyone's talking about the food crisis and everyone who's going to be hurting because they got EBT, right? But people aren't talking about how, okay, if the stores aren't able to take the purchasing power from EBT and cash in with the feds to get their money back so they can reinvest in more food, now they're only going to be able to reinvest in the money and the credit card transactions, the cash, the credit card transactions, the bank transactions, the debit card, all of that. They're going to lose because they know that more than half, probably 3/4 of individuals shop there at their store with benefits from the federal, from the taxpayers, right? From all of us, from everyone who's ever purchased anything and is paying taxes. Even those who may not be doing their taxes or whatever, they still pay taxes in some way through purchasing this and purchasing that, and through sales tax and things. So now no one's going to get their benefits, no one's going to get the tax dollars we've put into it. It's pretty interesting that they can just demand that you pay taxes, but then hold it like ransom, or not even for ransom, they're just holding it. It's like, all right, well, thanks. They're like, we're supposed to be able to use that for this and that, making sure that those who need, the disabled, those who are unable to take care of themselves for whatever reasons, our country has been established in a way that we do not let our brothers and sisters go without, or at least we're supposed to be in that way, right? If we're supposed to be God-loving, God-fearing, and then supposed to be taking care of our, the creations created by God, which would be our brothers and sisters also created by God, the animals, all of the water, the air, all the trees, all the, nature. If we were stewards of this vessel and we did what we're supposed to do, then we take care of one another. And this country has been set up, the United States has been set up to where we take care of those, or at least we're supposed to. But then again, that's kind of a joke, because we got vets on the street. We got the military veterans that, once fought for our country, is now sitting on the street. They're the ones that everyone's like, oh, I don't know if you guys heard about that. The EBT talking, toast chomping lady with her peanut butter toast. And she's over there, she's like, I don't know what you guys did with your EBT last month. What'd you do with that loaf of bread that you bought last month? Did you just eat it all in one sitting? Did you just eat it all and didn't think about next month when there's not going to be any EBT? And she's sitting there chomping. And it's the most hard, crunchiest toast you ever heard. And so I guess her plan, what she's been doing, she's been eating that same piece of toast and peanut butter for months now. And she's figured out how to recycle it. She gets a bucket, and she somehow just like she just like, dropped some loaves, and then she like squirts some peanut butter out, and she's got herself another loaf and some more peanut butter. She figured it out. She recycled her peanut butter toast. She figured out all you ever need is just buy yourself one loaf of bread, one can of peanut butter, and then you just keep on recycling that over and over and over. You could keep on using it for all eternity. God willing. Yeah, there's people like that who think that like you can somehow ration EBT forever and it's gonna last you, you know? Yeah, in the puddle bucket. Hard toast in a good way. I don't know, man. That toast was so crispy and crunchy. If I ate it, I would like start chomping and then choking on it. Like inhale it and like I'd have to go to the hospital. Someone have to Gimli the Heimlich. But yeah, people are like going crazy talking about how, if you don't like ration your EBT and this and that, and it's like, it's just crazy. It's going to go into the Hunger Games where people are just like, they're going to be brutal. They're going to be eating toast and peanut butter in front of you like that, chomping away while you're sitting there starving. But then, the cool thing is, already here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and not just here in Albuquerque, but around the whole entire state, we've got business owners who are stepping up left and right. Those who got money, those who have purchasing power still, and they are offering to feed your family. Basically, you can, if you are a EBT recipient, in some places you don't even have to be. I saw there was a farm that opened up their farm today and said, you don't got to be an EBT recipient or nothing. All you got to do is come on in and come pick the food that you think you're going to be needing and using right away up until 6 p.m. today. It was a short notice, and I'm sure they didn't have enough food to provide for everyone, so they probably had to do a short notice like that. But that was very generous of them to open up their farm and allow people to just go and pick food fresh, like harvest it fresh right there. I think that's awesome. There's another place that's known for their large monster pizzas, Richie B's Pizzas. They offered, I saw a post last night, that if your kids, if you're on EBT and you're having a hard time with feeding your kids, or maybe you just need a little help, like maybe you're not like struggling, but every little meal that you can get provided for you is going to help and provide, allow your funds that you got to go a lot further, right? So if you got several places who are offering some meals here and there, you might be able to eat or, feed your family or at least your kids for free, at least dinner, at least one meal, maybe a couple meals a day. But there's going to be a lot of community outreach coming through right now. And the one thing that I was talking about earlier with our governor is that, she's supposedly has like billions of dollars set aside, right? And people are like, all right, well then just allow that to get through the EBT. But like I was saying, EBT is not going to be allowed. They're not going to be able to cash their funds in. It's like the store is collecting coupons from the EBT recipients. So the stores need to take their coupons, their EBT funds, and get it transferred back over to cash from the federal government. But if the government's closed, they're not going to be able to do that. So they're not going to be able to accept EBT. So our governor can't put your EBT funds out there because they're not going to be able to use them anyways. If you have EBT left and set aside, you're not going to be able to use it after the 1st, is what I'm understanding. If you got funds still, You may not be able to use it after the first. But I don't know. That could be a scary situation where you like spend it all and you still got to wait till the 15th and wait a whole nother 2 weeks, and you just got to like try to float through, you know? But it's going to get crazy, guys. People are already talking. I already saw a video where this lady, she's like, "You're going to do what? You're going to take my EBT? I don't think so." And all you hear is her voice, and all you see is a grocery bag full of steaks, lobster tail, all kinds of meat. She's going to be eating good for the whole next 2 months. She's got enough food to like feed a few people, you know? Or if she's hoarding it for just herself and her family, they're going to be doing really well. Or they're going to be able to sell $20, $50 steaks soon. Or trade it for a stereo. Or for whatever that they like to get every day. They might like getting wet on something, right? So they might be turning steaks into blues or something, right? Like, I don't even know. It's going to get crazy. We're in the Hunger Games, guys. Welcome to the new world. If no one has greeted you in and welcomed you in, let me be the first to welcome you into this new world order. New orders to follow, new ways and new procedures. Are you liking this ride so far? This roller coaster? I've been waiting for this since long before 2012, guys. I've been warning people, telling people, it's coming. This is coming. Get ready. Be ready. Be prepared. But then at the same time, you know, like, how you supposed to prepare yourself like 15, 20 years ago? Like, you can't just hold on to rations for 20 years. I mean, I guess some people can. Like, if you want to hold on to a bunch of Spam or something like that. But you just got to kind of know how to, like, stay in the flow. Go with it. Stick with it. I don't know. It's pretty crazy, guys. So people are already, like I said, that lady, she already got a garbage bag full of steaks, guys. She already beat y'all to it. It ain't even the first, and she's already got her bounty. She's like, I'm good. I don't know about y'all, but I got $20 to $50 steaks. Like, man, this is going to be crazy. But for real, I don't know about y'all, but do you guys actually have a plan for this? Because not only is it going to affect those with the EBT, but like I was trying to say, once the stores can't purchase this food anymore and they don't got the purchasing power from the EBT sales, and all they got is cash and credit card and bank transactions and that's all. That's like only like a third or like less than half, because more than half of the people in this world got EBT. More than half the people here are getting help. You know, like probably I'd say like 3/4, 75%, at least 60%, at least 60%. So when the stores lose 60% of their purchasing power, that means that they ain't going to be able to purchase what they used to at the price that they were able to, which means that the price goes up for everyone else. So then it affects everyone else at that point. And like I said, they might start monitoring people to where you got to like sign up with their app. You got to let them know your bank account, your information. So you can even just walk in there and they can scan you as you walk in and know that he's got money, and we can scan him on his way out if he tries to rob it and steal us. And they're gonna implement that. That's my prediction right now, that I'm calling it right now. They're gonna implement this weird way of where it's gonna be a cashless and almost like a non-contact way of shopping, where you just walk in and you walk out. You get your goods and you go. And there's no one that you got to say hello and goodbye to at all. You bag it up if you need a bag and you go. And that's how it's going to be soon. Welcome to the new world. Smart city, smart grid. The Q City is coming. Maui, Lahaina. You got the Jump Smart Maui project. You got the LA Smart City 2028 coming. Just in time for the Olympics, which is going to put the smart city on a world platform, the world stage, to introduce to the world at the 2018 World Olympics in LA, rebuilt after all the fires, burnt down the Palisades and burnt down everywhere else, all of Southern California, and even all the way up. You can't forget about the Moss Landing fire with the lithium battery plant fire that burnt and desecrated all the food, guys. Don't forget about all the food that got desecrated over there in what is known as the Salad Bowl of America. It's where all of our produce, 70% of our produce comes from, has now been tainted. The Driscoll's strawberries, tainted by lithium fallout. You guys may not have heard about this because it's not on the news. That's why I'm here for you. But remember, I'm just a glass blower. I'm just a glass blower. And I post this up for my own entertainment purposes. And if you're entertained, well, I guess for yours as well, too. But people are about to start snapping back, guys, when they start losing their SNAP and their EBT. And then the stores aren't going to be able to purchase. And then everyone's going to start snapping. And it's going to get pretty crazy, guys. It's going to become the Hunger Games. And unless people have the mentality that we are all brothers and sisters in this together, and unless they have the mentality as those businesses who are already come forth and said, hey, if you need help, if you need a helping hand through this, you need a meal, you need to feed your children, you need to feed yourself, you're disabled, you're on EBT, you got benefits, or you don't have benefits anymore, or whatever it may be, come on down, get yourself a meal. You know, like I was saying, Richie B's, he's offering a free slice of pizza from the 18-inch pizza. So that means the kids are going to get a 9-inch slice, guys. That is awesome. Richie B's Pizza. I've been posting it up on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook, I believe it's facebook.com/Dan the Glassman. And if you go over there, there's probably going to be a bunch of Dan the Glassman. But if you find me, you'll find my posts with all the information for New Mexico, talking about all the different restaurants and all the different places, all the businesses and organizations that are offering free food for everyone, guys. So please go and check that out. Please share that information out. If you got information like that in your community, I strongly recommend sharing it out. Help a brother out. Help your sisters out. Let everyone know that there's some food. If you got extra food, help some people out. If you can feed some people that you know of and they're hurting, do what you can. You know, give them a bowl. Make them a plate. You know, make them a sandwich. Give them some chips. Whatever you can do. But do you have a plan? Do you actually have a plan yet? Have you stocked up on beans, rice, you know, dry good? In our home, I do a lot of Ayurvedic cooking. I've learned how to cook for, like, basically through Krishna consciousness. I learned how to cook all the foods that Krishna used to love, and these are the foods that we then cook, and we offer it to the altar, and then we offer it to Krishna. Krishna then blesses it. We then take the leftovers from Krishna after Krishna has partaken from the meal, and then we put it all back into the rest of the meal and make it all become blessed, and then we can feed it out to everyone else, and then everyone gets that blessing from Krishna through their mouth, into their belly, right through their soul. And we've learned how to cook Ayurvedic meals and how to make meals go a long way. You know, in India, they're always cooking meals all the time, and they're always feeding people. But in that process, what is going on is they're having kirtan, they're singing, they're dancing joyfully, and basically raising up the vibrations or the frequencies in order to honor God, to honor Krishna, to honor whichever avatar that they are worshiping. Whether it be Jesus, whether it be Buddha, Krishna, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, any. It is as it is. And in India, they're always constantly feeding people the prasadam, the blessed food that have been offered to the altar. Then it all gets stirred in, and then all that food then goes out to the public. And so what they're doing is they're actually giving public blessings to people through the food. It may look like it's charity work and they're just feeding poor people, but what they're really doing is they're actually feeding their souls. They're putting them on a spiritual path that they might not even understand that there is a path to be on. Some people know there's a spiritual path. Some people are on the spiritual path. Some people are working their way to get through the spiritual path. Some people have no idea there is a spiritual path that even exists. And some people just stumble upon it. And whether or not they choose to stay is what we find out. So, in learning about the Ayurvedic meals and how you can cook a lot of food, you can cook certain foods that will go a long way. So in our home, not only do we have like beans and rice, we got the black beans, we got the pinto beans, we got the kidney beans, we got the white navy beans, we have anasazi beans, we got different kinds of beans, right? We have garbanzo beans, right? With garbanzo beans, you can make hummus, you can make all kinds of things. Garbanzo beans is basically chickpeas, and chickpeas can be turned into a flour, besan flour, and besan flour can be turned into things like pakoras and other different foods. You can make a lot of different desserts and breads and a lot of different things. And then there's foods like the dal, chickpeas, right, is basically like a dal. You have urad dal, you have chana dal, you have tur dal, and there's probably a couple other different dals. And these dals, basically, a lot of you know, like split peas. And split peas are protein. Some of you guys drink protein drinks, and you may not know that your protein powder comes from peas and dal and things like that. Urad dal is high in protein. It's recommended to only have it twice a week, no more. You shouldn't have it 3-4 times a week because it can actually cause issues with your kidneys and create protein overload, protein toxicity. in the kidneys. So there's some foods that you got to actually be careful and not digest in too much, like urad dal. But if you're doing regular dals, like and then there's kachari, which is basically, oh, then the other dal, the mung dal, and the mung dal mixed with rice. So I believe it's what, 1 cup of rice and one and a half cups of mung dal, maybe vice versa. Kichari is very good. Kichari, kichari. It's very good for the gut health, high in fiber, and it can be eaten for breakfast. It can be eaten for lunch, for dinner. It can be eaten sweet or savory. We tend to have it nice and savory and spicy. It's very, very good for those who need to, maybe worrying about their weight. I believe it's good for diabetics. And it does help with those who have GI, gastrointestinal issues. People who have constipation and stuff like that, it's really good for you. When you do a cleanse, and then you one of the first foods, like you want to eat foods that are good and palatable and easy on the gut, on the intestines, and kichari is one of those foods that they highly recommend after you're done with either fasting, going through like a 30-day fast, a 4-day, 5-day fast, however long, whatever you're doing. So these things are other ways on being able to eat and not worry. With the amount that we purchase, when we purchase our rice, we get it by the at least 20 to 30 pound bag, I believe. And when we get a 20 to 30 pound bag of rice, that rice will last our family for months. So we don't have to worry. And if we're going to share it, I was thinking maybe I should go and get me another bag of rice. And then that way we just have a ton of rice that we can share with many others. And I think that we also, not only do I have, I think it's either basmati or jasmine rice, but I also have brown rice, with the holes on it still. The unhulled brown rice, raw. And, it's really good for you as well. I do believe I have quite a bit of that. I'm wondering right now if my propane is getting lower here. I might be out of propane and might not be able to get spun out anymore on these tops, these spinning tops. Aw, snap. Let's see. I don't know. Did I bring it down and then not realize I brought it down? Sometimes I do that. All right. So, how you guys doing? What is your plans? Do you guys know how to make fresh tortillas? Do you know how to make loaves of bread? Do you know how to make large meals and then freeze them? So then that way you have meals for like the week prepped. One meal that I haven't made in a really long time, and it goes a long way, is black bean garden burgers. And basically I use black beans. I'll make a pot of beans, fresh beans. They take hours. They take all day to cook. You want to soak them overnight if you want to cook them quick, or you can do the 1 hour quick soak method where you bring it up to a boil and then keep it covered for an hour. And then you rinse it and then add more water and then you bring it up to a boil and then cook it for like 4 to 6 hours. And that's the quick way, but you can soak your beans overnight as well. And that also releases a lot of the the gas and things like that, so that way they're not so gassy when you're eating them. And then I mix things like oats and maybe other types of flour. Like maybe I'll add some almond flour, some rice flour. Maybe I'll just add rice in there because, rice flour is basically just ground up processed rice. Oat flour is basically just oats that are just been pulverized in a food processor. Almond flour is basically just dried up almonds that have been pulverized. So when you're making flours, you can make your own flours, or you can learn how to make your own tortillas, own breads, things like that. I recently learned how to make these delicious almond flour blueberry muffins, and then you can mix it up with either raspberries or strawberries, or you can add chocolate chips in it. One thing that our son wanted to do was try it with some Reese's peanut butter chips, which I haven't done yet. Maybe we'll even do the peanut butter chips with the chocolate. I think that would be delicious. So there's so many different ways that we can do that, and they're high protein. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's like 2 cups of almond flour, and then you need some olive oil and maple syrup, and I think you need like either baking powder, baking soda, one of the two, and some other things. I forget exactly. Maybe I'll make it and I'll share it with you guys one of these days. I haven't done a Cooking with the Glassman video in a while. It's been quite a while since I've done that. But these are really, they're high in protein because it's pretty much just almond flour, coconut oil. And then I was thinking, like, what if you add flaxseed to them? If you add some hemp seed to them, maybe add peanut butter in it. Maybe melt the peanut butter in with the coconut oil or something. Or maybe add some peanut oil into it. That'd probably be good. But yeah, those are really delicious, and they're so healthy that, I could just give them to my kids anytime. Be like, yeah, you can eat them now. Eat them for breakfast. Have them as a snack. Have them for lunch. So I would highly recommend learning about, real healthy foods like that. Ayurvedic foods. Food is like medicine. Learning how to mix, complex carbs and proteins together in order to get a highly complex meal that's beneficial. High protein, low carbs. Making your carbs come mostly from like vegetables and greens and things like that is best. From dairy is good too. Cheeses, butter, creams, yogurt. Oatmeal is also good, and it's highly filling. Not too many people like oatmeal though, I know that. I do believe that we are out of propane because my oxygen is just going a lot more. It's a more highly oxidized flame compared to propane, which means that the propane is going low as the oxygen is just staying at its level. So I'm going to let you guys go after this. It's probably been an hour anyways, which I like to keep my videos at an hour or less if possible. And let me know, guys, what are you guys going to do? How are you going to ration your food? Do you have to worry? Are you on EBT? Is this something that's going to really affect you or not? Or are you going to be fine and just be like, well, we'll be okay. If the food prices go up because of the purchasing power is lost because EBT isn't able to be used, Um, our governor not being able to access anyone's EBT or load up their cards with the billions of dollars in funds. I hear what's going to happen is she's going to load up on the food banks and make sure that the food banks have enough food and things like that. I know of a free food line every Saturday at the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice. I don't know how well they've been doing. I haven't been there in a really long time to check it out. I used to go there. I used to volunteer time, and then I would also just grab food there. The more people that they had to come, the more food that they were able to get. So, like, because if they had too many people and they weren't getting enough food, then that would allow them to acquire another store legally, or, like, I don't know what the loopholes were about it. But the more people they had in line, the more food they were able to acquire. And they were always left with so much food at the end that they would need people and beg people to take it all. So I've been going there since when I was on EBT, and I used to be on food stamps for a long time. And I personally got off of that, and my wife, being that she's on or was on disability, but they took that from her, thankfully she still does get EBT. So I sort of like have access to the food in that way, but I personally don't get EBT. I don't even have any health insurance through the state or anything like that. I don't have any sort of financial assistance or nothing. I do what I can to make ends meet with blowing glass and working as hard as I can. But like I said, my wife does get the EBT. It's supposed to cover her and her son. Well, our son. Well, I basically have adopted him as my own. So it covers her and her son. It's not supposed to cover me and my daughter. So we have to make it stretch anyways. And then I have to always purchase with my cash anyways for other things. So, we try to make things work and make ends meet. It's going to be very interesting to see how it works this coming month, and with everyone else stressing. I think we're going to be okay. At the same time, though, there's going to be some times and some days when, we're going to see what happens with the food, and if shelves just get like totally taken, like I don't know, people are going to really be like loading up their shopping carts and really like just running out with full shopping carts or not. But it seems like it's already happening, guys. And I just know that that's going to create more security. It's going to vamp up more of the AI, facial recognition and all of that. And people who think they're going to get away with it, they're going to find cops at their door. And then, like I said, it's going to turn into something crazier where it's going to turn a lot of people into unfit parents, and they're going to have to worry about, like, the child, the CYFD, child, youth, and families, whatever it is, the child advocacy groups or whatever. They come in and they try to snag your kids if they don't think that you're living up to their expectations and their par, So, with that being said, let me know what you guys think. How are you going to get through this? Do you have friends who are like really worrying and struggling? Are you really worrying and struggling about this, or think it's going to be a struggle? We're going to be getting through this together, guys, no matter what. I know that we don't live close, a lot of us here, a lot of you who tune in and watch it. I do appreciate you, Austin, for coming in and holding conversation here. And everyone else who's come in and listened to my rant here. Give me some good ideas. I've seen some lists on Facebook and on Twitter and different things where people are giving ideas on purchase this and purchase that. It's only going to cost you less than $200 and it'll get you through the month for a family of 4. I don't know about that. That's really hard, guys. Like, unless you're truly rationing it with like beans and rice and like making your own bread and like, doing peanut butter and jelly or just like, real simple things, and not eating like some really good organic berries, and getting yourself organic bananas and getting yourself some good veggies, and making sure that you're getting good foods in. If you're just getting a lot of processed stuff like packs of ramen and mac and cheese, yeah, it's going to sustain you, but it's also not going to do good for you in the long run for your health. So you guys be careful with all that processed food crap and all of that great value stuff, and try to get some real good wholesome food in if you can. Learn about kachari. Learn what they cook in India. Learn about Krishna consciousness and the foods. There's a cookbook. Um, the uh, the vegetarian cookbook of Krishna cooking, something like that. I don't know what it is, the something, but check it out. You'll find some amazing recipes there that you've never had, never heard of. Cauliflower with potato curry. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Some coconut curries. You'll learn about chapatis and pakoras and papadums and all kinds of stuff. It's so good, and yeah, just check it out. Learn something new. Learn something new, and also, you know, get yourself some good beans and rice. Learn how to make tortillas. You got yourself tacos and burritos all day. All right. With that being said, I'm out, you guys. Good luck with it. Let me know how you guys do. We'll talk about this through the month of November. Once Halloween is done, I'll come back at you. All right, you guys, I'm out. I got to get more propane. All right, laters. You guys have a good night and good luck, for real.